This is IBM Museum. And in that diagnostic mood that we're getting set in right now, I did get in a set of cables. I'll go through and get my internal webcam off, get turned around, and get those up on screen. I do have the diagnostic of the screen showing here on the 7496 executive workstation. And as you might remember, on the back panel, when I've had that pulled off, we went through and we discovered that this is a Sony Trenton display. It was a commercially available display back in the day, just coupled up to the unit. And I went through online and I found a place, and I'll go through and provide a link just with the thought that the website ordering, it doesn't, it's marked as not having the security certificate as it goes through, and or a modern browser will warn you that. And of course, you don't normally want to go through and use a credit card in that, with that going on. And I don't know if they're aware that they're that certificate is out of date or whatever it is. But there's a number you can call for them as well. And I would normally pull it up in the browser capture, but it doesn't really display the address very well. I'll just include it in the video description. And I've got 4 of these cables. They go through and they make the cables. And I realized I could have gone through and just ordered the connector, because I'll go through and probably the adapter that I'll develop will just go. I mean, it's going to use another end instead of this DB15. It's going to be an HDB15. And I do have my ring light off just because the reflection in the monitor and things like that. But got that nice little shell. And the company, they were even below 50 connectors. I'll have to look at this up close because it looks like and they told me, hey, you could just order the connector, but they were even telling me that they were 3D printing the plastic shell for these. And I don't see any markings on that otherwise. I mean, if that's a 3D print, that's some pretty high quality stuff there. I don't think it's necessarily the this outer black shell. Could be mistaken on that as well. But that's what connects to that, the back of the 7496 monitor when that back cover is removed. And all I'm looking for is a way that I'd have a short length of cable I could plug into the monitor and just plug into a standard, high density 15-pin connector, just like VGA, MCGA, whatever. And you have to be careful. You wouldn't want to overdrive this monitor on resolutions and things like that, refresh rates and all that. But and there's the part number that they have. They got cable marking that they even do. But that L5210 is the part number that they go by in the on the website. And they even call the connector, I've heard it called the Honda VTR. There's EIAJ-8, and I think there's like a D8. I'm trying to think of what they refer to the connector as. But all the same, if I remember, I'll go through and put it in the video description. I'm just looking for a way that doesn't have to go through how the monitor is attached to the case. You know, you've got this big old kludge in taking this apart for the purposes of if somebody was like testing the monitor separately, they could go through and you know, the way I'm going to have it set up is just plug this cable in the back of that monitor, plug this into the suitable testing video output. You know, maximum 640 by 480 resolution, or you know what MCGA or VGA could produce for this small screen. Being careful not to overdrive it, and you know, just I had to look on even whether I'm going to get, and of course, the connector that's in here on the back, it's an L connector. We've got even a picture at the Arden tool that shows it angled just to fit behind that back plate. And so this wouldn't necessarily fit. You couldn't make a separate cable connector like that that would fit behind that back panel, but this would just be for testing purposes. And I'd like to redo a little bit of that cable as it goes through, especially at the end of the system. It comes out of that strain release so badly, and there's not really any cable to work with at all. Other thing, I had to figure out how to properly route that cable and get this assembly back together. But these did come in, so I'm going to be going through and working with them. I've got to determine even the pin out, you know, from this style connector to the HDB 15 pins. I may just go through and make a temporary adapter too, and working with that 15 pin connector, I can do the pin out for this as well. They do this for an application. I think it's like they talked about, I think, the Laser XT computer or something like that. And amazingly, they still have this listed as a, and that they go through and make the cables to order. And since I didn't have the pin out yet of what I wanted and wouldn't be able to describe over the phone, it's just easier for me to work with cables on my own. I've got even VGA style cables that I can go through and just put my own cable into this connector as well. So that's up. There'll be further work on getting pinouts and things like that up as well, but at least we've gotten through that as well. And just another aspect to the 7496, I kind of wanted it almost like a kit, diagnostic kit, angled plugs and everything else, because you can power this. Of course, it's got that standard C13 connector that's on the back for power. It's angled in this case as it is, but if you have that back plate, you could use a straight on power supply connector. And so you could go through and test this display separately is the thought. And then I had a thought of other components like the parallel port, postcode reader, you know, just all the angled power cord for the system unit, seeing how that works good. And interesting enough, in the box of these, it was a straight on power plug that was included. And even it felt a little sticky for the length. I think it's just like a standard 6-foot cord. Had been in that box for so long, and just, I don't know, from the styrofoam and some of the materials that IBM used in that time just kind of degrade and are a little bit just decompose a little bit as it is. But I wanted to get together kind of a kit for somebody that would have a 7496 out there and say, hey, you know, I can just pull out pieces of the kit and use it to get the system working, or to test and work with it. So I'll be going through, of course, I've done the previous video on the diagnostic diskette, and but I wanted to go through and do another video on those cables coming in and just show the plans for what those are. So So if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click on that like button, please, and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.